Hi, my name is Brian Leone, and today I'm going to teach you how to address a letter or package to send through the mail. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. It's been a while since I've sent mail, but I think I remember how to do it. I'm pretty sure I can figure it out. And that's what I thought until recently. About a year or two ago, I was hit with an outstanding tax bill due to some previous year's information being incorrect. So I had to amend some of my own tax documents. Unfortunately, when working with previous years in the IRS, you're not allowed to send anything electronically, so I had to send all of my documents physically through the mail. Now, I got to work collecting all of my information, all of my necessary documentation, and getting it all together in a neat little package. And when it came time to send those things out, I didn't feel so sure about whether I was putting the right information on the envelope. So I double checked, I triple checked, I checked on the USPS website, and I addressed it to the best of my abilities. But still, when I dropped it off in the mailbox, there was a little bit of trepidation that maybe I did something wrong and that I hope it gets there correctly. And addressing things incorrectly can create anxiety. What if my mail doesn't get there? Whether it is important tax documents or whether you're sending thank you notes or photos, or even if it's a valuable item that you need sent through the mail and you just need to know that it gets there correctly. Knowing that you took the correct steps can at least provide you with the peace of mind that you've done everything correctly on your end and that barring any unforeseen circumstance, your mail should arrive safely. So, let's go over some of the items you're going to need to mail something out. First, what is it that we're mailing out? Now, for this situation, we're going to pretend that I sell cards. Maybe I have an online retail shop or an eBay page or what have you, and I happen to sell trading cards. Now, today, someone has made a purchase of this Pokemon card for our situation, and I'm responsible for sending this through the mail so that they receive it in one piece. So, for our video's sake, what we're going to be sending is this card. This card can represent any number of items that you might send in the mail. This is just going to be what we're sending today. Next, you're going to need an envelope. An envelope that fits the size of the item that you're going to be sending out. This small white envelope works perfectly for this card, but if you have a larger package that needs to be sent out, you could use a padded envelope. If you have large documentation, you can use a binded envelope as well. For larger packages, you may use a box, but we're not going to discuss that today because we're going to specifically look at things you can send through the USPS mailbox service. Next, what you're going to need is stamps. Now, stamps are important because these cover the cost of postage, sending something through the mail. There is a cost to send any item in the mail, and it is dependent on weight and the location where your item is going. We're going to discuss how you can determine that a little bit later in the video, but having stamps is very important. Last, you will need a writing utensil. I'm going to be using a pen, but you can also use a permanent marker. I would not recommend a pencil or a dry erase marker because those can be altered a little bit or ruined if it gets a little rainy, which it is today. So if it's a day like today and you were to write with a dry erase marker, that may smudge lettering, which can sort of affect or maybe even ruin the package and its destination. All right. So we're going to set a few of these items aside for now. We're going to focus on the envelope. So we're going to want to address this envelope before we put anything inside. For this instance, if we were to put this card in and then write the address on the back, it may alter the card itself. So I like to write everything out neatly before anything is actually inside the envelope. In some instances, that's not so important, whether the inside contents are affected or not. If it's maybe just a piece of paper that you're sending in with a signature, they don't really mind if there's some indentation. But if you're sending photographs or sensitive items, they may be affected by writing with the item inside the envelope. So I like to start fresh. So we'll set that aside for now. Now I went ahead and I got the process started on this envelope. Normally this would be blank, but we're gonna focus on what the information is here on this envelope. First, we're gonna start with the center of the envelope, and we're gonna fill out what is known as the recipient's address. The recipient's address. This is the person who's going to be receiving the mail that you're sending out. Now, the person who bought this card that I'm sending is named John Smith, and their address is going to be listed right underneath their name, their street address, 123 Fake Street. Underneath the street address, we're going to have the city, the state, and the zip code. With this information combined, this lets the carriers know that the person who should be receiving this letter is John Smith. This is the number of their street address to go specifically to the mailbox for this house. This is the city they live in, the state, as well as the postal service code. Now, the code can help out with a number of things. Sometimes there are similar streets, similar addresses, similar numbers. The code will help differentiate exactly where your mail needs to go. This is important. Next, we're going to move to the upper left corner here. This is going to be your address or the return address. This is going to be the information that you fill out of where the mail is coming from. See, my name is going to be up top here. My street address follows, as well as the city, state, and zip code. This information lets the carrier know that if there's any issue, if this information is not correct, or if you haven't met the postage with the stamps, this is going to be sent back to this location. Okay, now that we have our recipient's address, where our mail is going to, we've written down the return address, which is going to be our address. Next step is postage. Now, as I mentioned before, you're going to need stamps. Now, the best way to determine how many stamps you're going to need is actually to visit USPS.com, and they have a tool available to let you know exactly how many stamps you're going to need by putting in your address as well as where you're going to be sending this to and the approximate weight. I've gone ahead and done this, and they've let me know that I could use one stamp, one forever stamp for this. So I'm going to go ahead and take one stamp and apply it on the upper right corner here. Okay. Now that we've completed those steps, the next thing to do is to take our subject, which in this case is going to be this Pokemon card. We're going to open our envelope, insert like so. You can wet this glue strip here, and when you seal it shut, it should remain shut through the carrying process. If you've made it to this point in the process, then you've completed successfully addressing your mail. The only thing left is the final step. Your final step would be to locate your nearest mailbox in your neighborhood. This is the one closest to my house. It's about 2 blocks away, which is pretty fortunate. As you can see, this would be the front side of the mailbox. And there's going to be a mail slot here where you can insert your letter for mailing. Once it's in there, it's ready to be collected at the next collection time, and then it's off to your addressed location. Once you've placed your mail in the USPS mailbox that we've identified, you're good to go. You have done everything on your end to send your mail correctly. So keep in mind the most important factors. You want to write very legibly. You want to make sure that your information is correct for your outgoing address. You want to make sure that your return address is correct as well. You want to have the correct postage. Any failure to do the postage or the correct outgoing address may have your mail returned to you. So most importantly, make sure your information is correct. All right. Well, I hope I've provided enough useful tips to get you started. Hopefully you're a little more confident next time you have to send something out through the mail. Thank you.